There are the EMF have to take diagram. Already know diagram swing. So in that one, have two windings, primary and another one is secondary winding. So the primary winding is excited by an alternating voltage. Why? Because primary winding is supply voltage. That's why when the primary winding is excited by an alternating voltage, that is V1, circulates alternating current, that is I1, producing an alternating flux phi. Okay. When the primary winding is excited by an alternating voltage, circulates alternating current using an alternating flux phi. Next, the primary winding has N1 number of turns. If you observe the diagram of the transformer, so it consists of number of turns on the primary winding, that is N1, and number of turns in the secondary winding, that is represented with N2. So here the primary winding has N1 number of turns. Next, the alternating flux phi linking with the primary winding itself induces an EMF denoted as E1. So in the diagram, in the transformer diagram, we have two windings. One is primary and another one is secondary. So the primary winding produces the voltage, that is E1, and the secondary winding induces the EMF, that is E2, like that. So when the alternating flux phi linking with the primary winding, okay, so itself induces an EMF in it denoted as E1. Okay. Next, the flux links with secondary winding through the common magnetic core. So in the transformer, we have a magnetic core in a rectangular shape, and to that core, we have to connect the windings. One is primary and another one is secondary. The primary winding is connected on the left side of the core, and the secondary winding is connected to the right side of the core. So the primary winding is connected to the supply voltage or alternating voltage, and next the secondary winding is connected to the load. Okay, so whenever the primary winding is excited by using an alternating voltage V1, okay, it circulates alternating current, you know already this. So because of that current, it produces alternating flux. So the flux, the produced alternating flux in the primary winding is travels through the magnetic core into the secondary winding. Okay, so that means the flux links with the secondary winding through the common magnetic core. So it produces induced EMF E2 in the secondary winding. Okay, that one is called as mutually induced EMF. So that means the alternating flux produces the primary winding, but the flux is traveling through the core into the secondary winding. So that one is called as mutually induced EMF. Okay. So this is the waveform I am taking to derive the EMF equation of a transformer. So here the primary winding is excited by purely sinusoidal alternating voltage. This is the waveform. So this is a sine wave. Okay, it is from 0 to 2 pi time period. So here we have two cycles. One is positive half cycle, that is in the upper side, and the up to 0 to pi we have the positive half cycle, and from pi to 2 pi we have the negative half cycle, and we have different time periods. Okay, we have different time periods. Okay, and it consists of the sinusoidal flux, that is phi, that is equal to phi m sin omega t, and it consists of maximum flux, that is phi m. Okay, and next it consists of the time period 1 by 4f and 1 by 2f and 1 by f, like that. So this 1 by f time period is for the complete cycle, and 1 by 4f for the up to maximum flux. Up to maximum flux we have the 1 by 4f time period, and that to positive maximum flux, and coming to the negative maximum flux, that is between 0 to pi, that is in the time period of 1 by 2f. Okay, so like that we have the waveform. It is in alternating nature. Okay, that's why I am telling that the primary winding is excited by purely sinusoidal alternating voltage. Okay, next, so hence the flux is produced is also sinusoidal. So whenever the alternating flux is purely sinusoidal, then the flux is produced is also sinusoidal in nature, having maximum value of phi m. Maximum value of phi m. So we have two. One is positive phi m and another one is negative phi m. That means phi m is the maximum flux, and minus phi m is the negative flux, negative maximum flux. Okay, so According to this diagram, I will derive the EMF equation of a transformer. So coming to the derivation, so here we are using the various quantities. Here we are using various quantities which affect the magnitude of the induced EMF. Okay, those quantities are, one is phi, that is the flux, and another one is phi m, that is the maximum value of flux, and N1 is the number of primary winding turns, and N2, that is the number of secondary winding turns, and F is the frequency of the supply voltage, and E1 is the RMS value of primary induced EMF, and E2 is the RMS value of the secondary induced EMF. Okay, these are the various quantities which affect the magnitude of the induced EMF are these things: phi, phi m, N1, N2, F, and E1, E2. These are the various quantities which affect the magnitude of the induced EMF. By using these quantities, we have to derive the EMF equation of a transformer. Okay, so to derive the EMF equation of a transformer, first we will take the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, which is nothing but the working principle of the working principle of the single phase transformer. Okay, so from Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, the average EMF induced in each turn. Okay, from Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, the average EMF induced in each turn is proportional to the average rate of change of flux. Okay, average rate of change of flux, that is average EMF per turn is equal to average rate of change of flux. It is denoted with d phi by dt. This is the average rate of change of flux, d phi by dt. That is the average EMF per turn. So now d phi by dt is equal to, we have write this one as change in flux, that is the d phi by time required for change in flux, that is dt. Time required for change in flux, that is dt. So consider the 1/4th cycle of the flux. So if you observe this diagram, we have the sinusoidal flux waveform. I already seen that one. Okay, I already shown that one. So it consists of different time periods, but among that we have 1/4th cycle of the flux, that is already shown in the diagram. So complete cycle gets completed in 1/f seconds. That is t is equal to 1/f. That is the complete cycle. That is one positive cycle and another negative half cycle. The combination of positive and negative half cycles is called as one complete cycle. So that one complete cycle gets completed in 1/f seconds. That is the time period of that complete cycle. Okay. So here presently I am considering 1/4th cycle of the flux. 1/4th cycle of the flux. Okay. Next, so in 1/4th time period, the change in flux is from 0 to 5m. 0 to 5m in 1/4th time period. So according to that waveform, I am writing these things. Okay. So in 1/4th time period, the change in flux is from 0 to 5m. Next. So from that one, I am writing d phi by dt is equal to phi m minus 0 by 1/4f. So here 1/4f is the time period. 1/4f is the time period. Time taken for that time period. Time taken for that cycle. And next, we are taking the phi m. So actually, so it is in between at 1/4th cycle. It is in between, the flux is in between 0 to 5m. That's why I am taking d phi by dt is equal to phi m minus 0 by 1/4f, as dt for 1/4th time period is 1/4f seconds. Okay. And next, from this one I am writing 4 into f into phi m. So d phi by dt is equal to 4 into f into phi m, and average EMF per turn is equal to 4 into f into phi m volts. So flux means Weber per second, and the average EMF per turn is volts. That is 4 into f into phi m volts. So here flux is sinusoidal. The induced EMF in each turn of both the windings is also sinusoidal. That's why I drawn that waveform. I taken that waveform also. Okay, because here the sinusoidal, the flux is sinusoidal, and the induced EMF in each turn of both the windings is also sinusoidal. So for sinusoidal quantity, I am taking the form factor. So actually the form factor is defined as the ratio of RMS value to average value. So that is for a sinusoidal quantity, the form factor is fixed, that is 1.11. It is a standard value. So from this one, I am writing RMS value is equal to 1.11 into average value. Okay, here 1.11 is the form factor of the sinusoidal quantity. So from this one I am writing RMS value is equal to 1.11 into average value. And next RMS value of induced EMF per turn, from that one equal to 1.11 into 4 into F into 5m. 4 into F into 5m, that is 4.44 F into 5m. Okay, next there are N1 number of primary turns, hence the RMS value of induced EMF of primary is denoted as E1. So I already said that in the first slide. So there are N1 number of primary turns, hence the RMS value of induced EMF of primary winding denoted as E1. So that is E1 is equal to N1 into 4.44 F into 5m volts. So whereas while as there are N2 primary turns, hence the RMS value of induced EMF of primary denoted as E2. Primary denoted as E2. So in the primary winding we have N1 number of turns, and in the secondary winding we have N2 number of turns. So there is a mistake there. So here while as there are N2 number of secondary turns, not primary turns, just a mistake is there, please correct that one. Okay. So while as there are N2 number of secondary turns, hence the RMS value of induced EMF of secondary is denoted as E2. So from this one I am writing E2 is equal to N2 into 4.44 into F into 5m. F into 5m. The expressions of E1 and E2 are called EMF equations of a transformer. So from this one I am writing the EMF equations of a transformer according to the primary and secondary is E1 is equal to 4.44 F into 5m into N1 volts, and E2 is equal to 4.44 into F into 5m into N2. So this is the EMF equation of a transformer. Okay. So these formulas are very useful to solve the problems based on the EMF equations. Okay. So this is the EMF equation concept of a transformer. And next I am going to take the ratios of a transformer. So actually we have two types of ratios. One is voltage ratio and another one is current ratio. So here I am considering a transformer. So it indicating various voltages and currents. So if you observe this diagram, I am taking a magnetic core, it is in rectangular shape, and I am taking two windings. One is primary and another one is secondary. The primary winding on the left side of this diagram is connected to the supply voltage, and the secondary winding is connected to the load. And the primary winding consists of N1 number of turns, and the secondary winding consists of N2 number of turns. So whenever the primary winding is excited by a supply voltage, it induces an alternating flux. So it produces an alternating flux. This flux passes through magnetic core to the secondary winding, and it also produces the EMF E2. And in the primary winding we have the voltage EMF is induced EMF is E1, and it consists of current I1. Okay, and in the secondary winding we have the current I2. Okay, and we have the load voltage, that is V2. Okay, by using this we have to tell the ratios of a transformer, both current and voltage. Okay. So coming to the voltage ratio of a transformer, so we know that from the EMF equations of a transformer that E1 is equal to 4.44 into F into 5m into N1 volts, you know this one, and E2 is equal to 4.44 into F into 5m into N2 volts. This is for primary and secondary. And taking ratio of the two equations, that is E1 and E2. So taking ratios of the two equations, we get E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1. So that is equal to K. From the two equations I am writing E2 by E1, that is equal to N2 by N1, that is equal to K. So this ratio of secondary induced EMF to primary induced EMF is known as voltage transformation ratio. Okay, voltage transformation ratio denoted as K. Okay, thus from this one I am writing E2 is equal to K into E1. Okay, E2 is equal to K into E1. That means E2 by E1 is equal to K. That means E2 is equal to K into E1. So where K is equal to N2 by N1. Where K is equal to N2 by N1. That means number of turns in the secondary winding divided by number of turns in the primary winding. That one is called as transformation ratio. Okay. This is voltage ratio. And coming to the important points, that is if N2 is greater than N1, that means the secondary winding turns is greater than primary winding turns, that is K is greater than 1, that is the transformation ratio value is greater than 1, we get E2 is greater than E1, then the transformer is called step-up transformer. And if N2 is less than N1, that is K less than 1, and we get E2 less than E1, then the transformer is called step-down transformer. So if N2 is equal to N1, that means primary secondary winding turns is equal to primary winding turns, that is K is equal to 1, we get E2 is equal to E1. Then the transformer is called isolation transformer or 1:1 transformer. That means secondary winding turns is equal to the primary winding turns. That's why I am taking 1:1 transformer or isolation transformer. So these are the very important points. Okay. And next, coming to the concept of ideal transformer. So ideal transformer means a transformer is said to be an ideal transformer when it obeys the following conditions or properties. Okay. First one, the resistance of the winding should be 0. The resistance of the winding should be 0. So actually in a basic transformer, we have some resistance for the winding. But in the ideal transformer, the resistance of the winding should be 0. And there should not any leakage flux in the transformer core. So actually in the transformer, we have a leakage flux. But in the ideal transformer, there should not any leakage flux in the transformer core. That is, the total flux produced in the core links with the primary and as well as the secondary. Okay, and the total losses in the transformer should be 0. So for an ideal transformer, total loss in the transformer should be 0. But in the basic transformer, definitely some losses are present. But in ideal transformer, the total losses in the transformer should be 0. Why? Because the secondary winding of the ideal transformer is not connected to the load. So if the transformer of the secondary winding is connected to the load, we have the losses. But here the total losses in the transformer should be 0. That is, the input power is equal to the output power. That means we don't have any losses. That is, since the winding resistance and magnetic leakage flux is 0 and copper and iron losses are 0 respectively. So the efficiency of the ideal transformer is 100%. Okay, the efficiency of the ideal transformer is 100%. And coming to the diagram, so this is the ideal transformer diagram. So it is looking like a basic transformer, but here the secondary winding is not connected to the load in the ideal transformer. But in the basic transformer, the secondary winding is connected to the load. But in the ideal transformer, the secondary winding is not connected to the load, it is in the open condition. Okay, the ideal transformer consists of purely inductive coil and loss-free core. So actually the core consists of losses, but in the ideal transformer, we take the loss-free core. Okay, and remaining are same, primary and secondary, and the primary winding is connected to supply voltage and it consists of the, so actually in the ideal transformer, the windings are wound on the core. So in the basic transformer also the windings are wound on the core. So here in this one, the primary winding produces the current I mu, that is the magnetizing current. That is magnetizing current. The primary winding produces the current, that is magnetizing current. And flux phi and V1 is supplied to 1. And remaining are all same. So coming to the explanation, so the ideal transformer secondary is open. So I already said this point. The ideal transformer secondary is open and the AC supply is connected to the primary winding. This is also I explained. And a current flows to the primary winding. So I already said this one. And this current is called magnetizing current. So it is denoted as I mean in the basic transformers we taken that is a I1. But here I am taking as the magnetizing current in the ideal transformer. And this current is mainly used to magnetize the core. So the magnetizing current is used to magnetize the core in the ideal transformer, and the value of magnetizing current is small, and the value of the magnetizing current is small. It is lagging V1 by 90 degrees. Okay, it is lagging V1 by 90 degrees, and the current produces an alternating flux phi I mu. So the current produces an alternating flux phi. Okay, next the magnetizing current and flux are in the phase, in phase. Okay, that means both are in the same line. Okay, next the changing flux is linking with the primary and secondary winding. So it is an alternating flux, that means changing flux. So this changing flux is linking with the primary and secondary windings in this one. Okay. Next, so due to the alternating flux, a self-induced EMF is produced in the primary winding. So due to the alternating flux, a self-induced EMF is produced in the primary winding. It is denoted as E1 and equal to and in opposition to V1. So it is known as counter EMF or back EMF of the primary winding. And similarly, an induced EMF E2 is produced in the secondary winding because the alternating flux is linking with the secondary winding. This EMF is known as mutually induced EMF. And this EMF E2 is in opposition to V1. Okay, E2 is opposition to V1 and its magnitude is proportional to rate of change of flux, that is d phi by dt, and number of secondary turns, proportional to the rate of change of flux and number of secondary turns. Okay. Next, this figure shows the input voltage waveform, that is V1, and induced EMFs E1 and E2, and flux phi and magnetizing current I mu waveforms. So here I draw a graph between time versus magnitude. Magnitude of the quantities, that is voltage, induced EMFs and magnetizing currents. All the waveforms are sinusoidal waveforms. All the waveforms are in sinusoidal nature. Okay, first waveform gives up to 0 to 2 pi. We have the supply voltage, that is the input voltage waveform. And after that, we are taking the E1 waveform. So the E1 waveform starts from the negative side and it ends from the positive side. That is the sine wave. And next we have another waveform, that is E2. So E2 also starting from the negative side and ended in the positive side. And lastly we are taking the magnetizing current. So the magnetizing current is also starts from the negative side and touches the positive side and then went to the negative side. It is not a completely sine wave. Okay, it is like a normal wave. And next we have some dotted line waveform is also there. Those dotted line waveform represents the flux. This is also a sine wave. Okay, so this is the, here the time period is between 0 to 2 pi. Okay, the half cycle, the past half cycle is from 0 to pi and the negative half cycle is from pi to 2 pi. Okay, and the complete half cycle, complete cycle is in between 0 to 2 pi time period. Okay, so these are the waveforms we are showing. And coming to the vector diagram, that is a no load, that means for the ideal transformer I am drawing a vector diagram. So if you want to draw the vector diagram on no load for a transformer, the following steps are adapted to draw the vector diagram for ideal transformer under no load. So firstly I will draw the input voltage line V1. I will draw the input voltage line V1 and denoted with letters O and A. On one side I am representing with O and on another side I am representing with A. So first draw the input voltage line V1 OA. So this is the line I am drawing. Okay, vertical line. So that is OA. That line is called input voltage line V1. Okay, next in the second step I am drawing the flux line phi. So that is OB. I am drawing a flux line OB. So actually the voltage is in 90 degrees with the flux phi. Okay. So it is exactly 90 degrees with the flux phi. That's why I am drawing this horizontal line connecting the origin point O and B. And next, step 3, draw the magnetizing current, that is OC line. It is in phase with flux. So I already said this in the previous. The magnetizing current OC, it is in phase with the flux. So already flux line is already drawn, and in that line I am indicating C point. So up to that point, we are taking the magnetizing current, that is I mu. So that means the magnetizing current is in phase with flux. That means both are in the same phase or same line. Okay. Next, I am draw the induced EMFs E1 and E2. That means the angle between E1 and V1 is 180 degrees. E1 and V1 is 180 degrees. So here I am indicating that OE. And that V1 and E1 are in opposite directions. That means both are in the same line but in opposite directions. Okay. But the angle is 180 degrees. So up to now it is 90 degrees and after that it is 180 degrees. So that is E1 and V1 are in the opposite direction, that is OD and OA. Okay. Next, then draw E2 line. Actually the E2 line, it is in phase with E1. That's why I am taking E2 line in the same phase of E1. That is OE line. So OA line is for the voltage and OB line is for the flux, and OC line is for the IMU, that is the magnetizing current, and OE line is for the secondary induced EMF, and OD is for the primary induced EMF. Okay, so this figure shows the vector diagram for ideal transformer under no load condition. Next, so for an ideal transformer, there are no losses. Hence, the product of primary voltage V1 and primary current I1 is same as the product of secondary voltage V2 and secondary current I2. Okay, because of the transformer, there are no losses in the ideal transformer. That's why I am taking product of primary voltage V1 and primary current I1 is same as product of secondary voltage V2 and secondary current I2. From this one, I am writing V1 I1 is equal to V2 I2. Okay, next from this one I am writing V2 by V1 is equal to I1 by I2, that is equal to K. Okay, V2 by V1 is equal to I1 by I2 is equal to K. Okay. Next, so when electrical power is transferred from primary winding, coming to the volt ampere rating. So up to now we discussed voltage ratio and current ratios, and coming to the volt ampere rating, this is also important concept in this one. So when electrical power is transferred from primary winding to secondary, there are few power losses in between. Okay, when electrical power is transferred from primary winding to secondary winding, there are few power losses in between. It is not considered into the ideal transformer. It's only considering for the basic transformer. So these power losses appear in the form of heat, which increase the temperature of the device. Okay, now this temperature must be maintained below certain limiting value, as it is always harmful from insulation point of view. Okay, so temperature must be maintained below the certain limiting value. Why? Because it is always harmful from the insulation point of view. That's why we are limiting to some value. And as current is the main cause in producing heat, okay, the output maximum rating is generally specified as the product of output voltage and output current, that is V2 I2. And this always indicates that when the transformer is operating under this specified rating, its temperature rise will not be excessive. Okay. Next, the copper loss in the transformer depending on the current I through the winding, while the iron or core losses depends on the voltage V, as frequency of operation is constant. Okay, the copper loss in the transformer depends on the current, and the iron or core losses are depend on the voltage. But here the frequency is constant in both the cases, and none of these losses depends on the power factor, because it is a alternating quantity. Okay, that's why there is the losses not depend upon the power factor for the load. Hence, losses decide the temperature rise, and hence the rating of the transformer. The losses decide the temperature rise, and hence the rating of the transformer also. As losses depends on V and I only, the rating of the transformer is specified as product of these two parameters, that is V and I. So thus the transformer rating is specified as the product of voltage and current and called VA rating. Okay, VA rating. Next, so on both sides, primary and secondary VA rating remains the same. On both sides, primary and secondary VA ratings are same. This rating is generally expressed in kVA, that is kilovolt ampere rating. So from the current ratio, that is V1 by V2 is equal to I2 by I1 is equal to K, and that one I am writing V1 I1 is equal to V2 I2. Next, kVA rating of a transformer is equal to V1 I1 by 1000, that is equal to V2 I2 by 1000. This is the kVA rating of a transformer. So if V1 and V2 are the terminal voltages of primary and secondary, then from specified kVA rating, we can decide full load currents of primary and secondary I1 and I2. Okay, and this is the safe maximum current limit which may carry keeping temperature rise below its limiting value. Below its limiting value. Next, from this one I am writing I1 full load is equal to kVA rating into 1000 by V1, and I2 full load is equal to kVA rating into 1000 by V2. These are the formulas for the full load current on primary side and full load current on the secondary side. So these values indicates how much maximum load can be connected to given transformer of a specified kVA rating. Okay, these values indicate how much maximum load can be connected to a given transformer of a specified kVA rating. So coming to the problem number 1. So up to now we discussed EMF equation and a transformation ratio of a transformer, okay, and volt ampere turns. And next, coming to the numerical problems. First problem is a single phase 50 Hz transformer has 80 turns on the primary winding and 400 turns on the secondary winding, and the net cross sectional area of the core is 200 centimeters square. So if primary winding is connected to a 240 volt 50 Hz supply, determine first one the EMF induced in the secondary winding, and second one the maximum value of flux density in the core. Okay, so here they given that single phase transformer frequency is 50 Hz and primary winding turns, that is N1 is equal to 80, and secondary winding turns, that is N2 is equal to 400, and area cross sectional area they given, that is A is equal to 200 centimeters square. If we want to convert this centimeter into meters, we have 200 into 10 to the power of minus 4 meters square, and supply voltage that is given E1 is equal to 240 volts on the primary side. Okay, and by using this data we have to determine the EMF induced in the secondary winding, that is E2, and the maximum value of flux density in the core, that is B. Flux density, not flux. So flux density means B. Maximum flux density means B suffix M. Okay. So firstly, I will take the first case, that is the EMF induced in the secondary winding. So from the transformation ratio, that too from the voltage ratio, K is equal to N2 by N1. So from this one I am taking, in the problem they already given secondary winding turns, that is 400, and primary winding turns 80, and K is equal to, from this one, 5 by 1, that means 81s and 85s. 5 by 1, K is equal to 5 by 1, that is the transformation ratio. And we know that K is equal to E2 by E1. Okay, write that equation here. So K is equal to E2 by E1. So that is equal to, from this one we have to calculate the E2 value. That's why I am taking E2 by 240. Already they given the primary winding voltage, that is E1 240 in the problem. Substitute here, and so that is equal to 5 by 1. So already we calculated the transformation ratio, that is 5 by 1. Substitute here, that means E2 by E1 is equal to E2 by 240, that is equal to 5 by 1. So that means finally we have E2 by 240 is equal to 5 by 1, and from this one I am writing E2 is equal to 5 into 240, and finally we have the induced EMF in the secondary winding is 1200 volts. This is for the first case. And coming to the second case, in the second case we have to determine the maximum flux density, that is Bm. So before going to calculate the maximum flux density, we have to calculate the maximum flux. So for that one, we have the formula EMF equation of a transformer for the primary winding, corresponding to primary winding, that is E1 is equal to 4.44 F into 5M into N1. So from this one I am writing, they already given the primary voltage, that is 240, that is equal to 4.44 into F value is 50 into 5M, they didn't given, as is right, 5M, that is 5M into N1 they already given, that is number of primary turns 80. So from this one I am writing 5M is equal to 240 divided by 4.44 into 50 into 80. And finally simplifying this one we have 0.01351 Webers. Webers is the units of the flux. Okay, 0.01351 Webers for the maximum flux. And by using this maximum flux, we have to determine the flux density, maximum flux density. We have the formula maximum flux density is equal to maximum flux by area of cross-sectional area. So already in the problem they already given the cross-sectional area, that is 200 centimeters square. So here flux density Bm is equal to 5m by A. So 5m already they given 0.01351 divided by cross-sectional area. I am taking the meters, that is 200 into 10 to the power of minus 4, that is equal to, after simplifying this one we have the 0.6756 Weber per meter square. This is the value for the maximum flux density, 0.6756 Weber per meter square, and this is the solution for the first problem. And we are moving to the second problem, that is for a single phase transformer having primary and secondary turns of 440 and 880 respectively, determine the transformer kVA rating if half load secondary current is 7.5 amperes and maximum value of core flux is 2.25 milliwebers. So here the given number of turns in the primary and secondary, that is N1 is equal to 440 and N2 is equal to 880, and they already given I2, that is the secondary current, half load of the secondary current they given, that is I2 half load, that is equal to 7.5 amperes, and they given flux, that is not phi m, that is phi m, not Fm, sorry, phi m, that is 2.25 m milliwebers, that is milli means 10 to the power of minus 3 webers, and they given E2 value, that is equal, we have to use this formula, that is E2 is equal to 4.44 into phi m into F into N2. Okay. By using this, we have to determine the E2 value, and then we have to determine the kVA rating of a transformer. Okay. So assuming frequency is 50 hertz and E2 is equal to, you know the formula for the E2 individual EMF in the secondary one, that is E2 is equal to 4.44 into F into phi m into N2. In the problem, they given that E2 is equal to 4.44 into flux is 2.25 milliwebers, so that is 2.25 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into frequency, we assumed 50 hertz, that is 50 into 880, that is the number of turns in the secondary. Finally, we have the E2 value, that is 439.56, and in the problem they given that I2 half load. So before going to take that one, first we will take the I2 full load from the volt ampere turns concept. I2 full load is equal to, what is the formula there? kVA rating into 1000 by E2. Okay, that is, and from this one in the problem they given the I2 half load is equal to, how much they given? 7.5 amperes. So here I2 half load is equal to half into I2 full load. So from that formula I am writing I2 half load is equal to half into I2 full load. So from this one I am writing I2 half load is equal to half into I2 full load means kVA rating by E2, and I2 half load they given already, that is 7.5 is equal to 1 by 2 into kVA rating by 439.56. So from this E2 value just now we calculate, that is 439.56. So from this one I am writing kVA rating is equal to 2 into 10 to the, sorry, 2 into 7.5 into 439.56 into 10 to the power of minus 3. Okay. So that is equal to 6.5934 kVA. This is the kVA rating of the given transformer. That is 6.5934 kVA. Here I am taking 10 to the power of minus 3 for kVA rating. Okay. So that's it. In the next class, I will discuss some more topics and a few more problems on these topics. Okay. Thank you.